Welcome back to Touring America. This is the first video for 2018, but it's not about riding motorcycles. I'm heading out next week on my first trip for 2018 down to Texas Hill Country with the same old guys. But right now we're going to focus on something just a little bit different. It's a revisit of a video that I've made previously, one of my more popular videos, and that is applying 3M Scotchguard Pro paint protection to paint. We're not going to do it on a motorcycle. Today we're going to do it on a 2014 Audi S5. It's a car that's new to me, 2014, 30,000 miles, and I drive about 64 miles back and forth to work every day. And the front of black cars especially, and this is a black car, get really dinged up by the road, rocks, pebbles, salt, things like that. So I want to get this paint protection on as soon as possible. I spent the last couple days doing paint correction, buffing all the scratches I could find, using touch-up paint, and now we're finally ready to apply the product. So stick around. We're going to show you step by step, beginning to end, how to cover the really vital parts of this Audi S5.
Hey, why is from Greensboro, North Carolina?
All right, so we are getting ready to start applying the 3M Clearbra Pro product, and we're going to start with a piece that's small. We want to get kind of acclimated. And the Servo PPF kit that comes with all these pre-cut pieces comes with a small piece to cover the two mirrors. So we're going to start doing that right away. Make sure everything is absolutely perfectly clean. I've washed the car, I've clay barred the car, I've gotten every small little defect out that I possibly could, because once this Clearbra goes on, you're not going to want to take it up and get that out afterwards. So the first step is take a mix of 20% alcohol, 80% water with just a couple drops of soap, mix it up in a spray bottle, and get the surface all wet and spray the adhesive side of the Clearbra Pro product. Keep your hands wet as well so they do not stick to the film. And start by laying it on. One of the things that I learned about these products when I was applying them to the K1600 is they are cut perfect. You need to find the body line that they line up to. And in this case, since this is an S series, I've got these silver colored mirrors. The bottom of the film should line up with the very bottom of the silver color, right at the very base. Get it all roughly in place. And this is strong, strong stuff. If you need to stretch it and pull it a little bit, that's okay. And again, make sure you're wet, and when you're working the material, make sure the outside of it is wet as well. You want your squeegee to be able to slide over it with no friction. Once you've got it close, right, and get that body line as close as you can, you want to work from the center out. You're pushing all the air bubbles out. So I'm going to start with an up swipe and a down swipe right in the middle. Right? And now that gives me an anchor point to start adjusting the rest of the piece. And I'm going to come up here and I'm going to look and I'm going to see the top is perfectly aligned in the center with the top of the mirror. I need to pull this right side down just a tad to keep it lined up. And it's all about lining up the product with the body lines and then squeegeeing it out from there. Actually, what I'm finding here is I'm a little bit too far to the right. So this happens. I'm going to just lift it up. And I can do this before it cures, get it loose, spray it some more, and I can just do a readjust. All right, so I need to just bring it over a little bit to the left. I'm going to go back and check that bottom body line again. That looks pretty good. And I'm going to do the same thing. Get that center tack down. Check the edges. It looks like I'm going to be just about right. And then I'm going to start working out from the center out to the edges. Okay. I need to stretch this outside just a little bit. And you can see I can pull on this quite a bit, and it stretches. You don't need to be afraid of it. You're not going to tear it. It's very strong. This is based off the same product that they use to coat rotor blades on military helicopters, right? So it's really strong, designed to withstand impact and abrasion. Really strong stuff. So stretch it and form it to all the curves so that it looks just right. You want to use that squeegee to get all the air and water bubbles out. And you'll see the foam from the couple drops of soap underneath. The soap is what makes it slide. The little bit of alcohol in the solution is what makes it evaporate quickly. All right, so both of those are important pieces. And I'm just going to work these out, work these out. Once I get pretty close, I'm going to put the squeegee down, and I'm going to pick up microfiber cloth, and I'm going to use this to wipe outwards to start absorbing that solution. Because once you start squeegeeing it, particularly on a vertical surface, the water starts to run back down underneath the film and loosens it up again. So we want to absorb that, and we just keep rolling it and stretching that material in place, and eventually it will stick down nice and tight. So we just need to keep working at it. You come back and look for those air bubbles, and I'm not seeing any. I do have one little chip, and you're probably too far away to see it there, but right underneath the film there was a chip in the silver paint. I didn't fix it, it was too small. I didn't know what wet sanding on a silver mirror would do to it, so I actually left it as it was. Okay, but this looks really quite good. Just adjusting this corner here a little bit. All right, and there we go. That's our first piece. And I really recommend that you start with a small piece, get the feel for the material, how much float solution you need, and how to work that squeegee. So there you go. Piece one, down. You do the other mirror the exact same way. I'm only going to show you one side. And sink. So the next piece we're going to do is the quarter panel. And I'm going to do the quarter panels next because, again, it's a medium-sized piece. I'm actually going to do the quarter panel, or the front fender, the other front fender, the hood, and then the front grille. That's kind of the order I plan to work in. So the first thing I do is I kind of check the surface, make sure I've got no dust or hair that kind of settled back on since I cleaned it last, and it's looking pretty good. Another nice thing you can do is you can spray it with some compressed air if you want. All right, but I'm looking pretty good there. So I'm going to do that, and now I'm going to go pick up my film from the other side of the car. I'm going to peel it off the sheet. And what you really want to make sure is that you do not let the material stick to itself. It is very hard to get unstuck from itself, which is why you want to get the solution on it as soon as you can. And there's no such thing as too much solution, right? You can always squeegee and dry it off. Then I'm going to spray the same solution right on the car. We're going to have to come back and clean it up later. That's okay. Right. And then I'm going to lay it right in place. You can see with these pre-cut pieces, it lays right in there. The bottom is sticking a little bit too much for me. I'm going to hit it with some more liquid so I can slide it around just a little bit. And again, I'm looking at body lines. Where do the body lines come in and line up? You can stretch it if you need to, but if you don't feel like you have to stretch it tight on every single spot. And that's looking pretty stinking good right there as a starting point, as far as I can tell. All right. So you can see it's all foggy and filmy when I start, but that's okay. Again, I'm going to spray it over the top so I have nice lubrication for my squeegee. And I'm going to pick a spot in the center and work outward. And the first line that I'm going to worry about is this line that goes up even with the hood. Right? I want to get that laid down nice and straight. I don't want it to overhang this lip. Any piece of film that overhangs and has the sticky side exposed will accumulate dust and dirt over time, and that will migrate underneath the film and ruin your film. So you got to get those lines just right. Okay, so I'm working up and out towards that edge. All right. The little pieces are critical. All right, there's not much adhesive on the back of them, so they need to be right on the money. And that's actually looking really good. Real happy with that. All right, so I'm even working out from the center to the outside on that. Okay. Work it all up. Work it all up. It's not going to be perfect right away, and that's all right. All right, and I'm going to come down here. Establish, again, this nice solid center line. and I'm going to feel along the arc of the bottom of the fender here, right, to make sure it's not overhanging, and it's not. We're looking pretty good. We're right on line. All right, we'll do a little adjust where we need to, and I'm going to work out from the middle. Out from the middle. You too can do these projects with these pre-cut pieces. All right, and I just come back and I'm feeling to make sure that we're not going past that arch, and we're not. I'm getting a little bit, I'm getting what these are called fingers. They're getting a couple fingers right now, but that's okay. I'll go in and dry those off, and they will stick in a little bit. Just trying to get the big part of the middle done, get all those air and water bubbles worked out of the middle as much as I can. Okay. And I just keep working it down. Center to the edges, center to the edges. Okay, getting a little finger up there, right at this corner, which is typical. That's okay. And nice big air bubble there that I'm pushing out. That's a big one. Work it out, work it out. I'm just right on the money there on that curve. One of the things that I found when I did the K1600 project is that these pre-cut kits are just right on the money, in terms of their dimensions. They're all computer controlled, CNC cut, and I don't know how they do the measuring, but they've got it nailed down. All right, working towards the back now. Again, center, up, oh, and I caught a little crease there, so I'm going to get rid of this crease by just lifting it back up, and I'm going to put some more adhesive on the back. Okay. Got to be careful, right? I tried to force it a little too fast. And I'm going to have to put a little bit of a stretch in there to get that out. That's okay, right? Remember, this stuff will stretch if I pull it. I just need to make sure when I do that, again, it's not past the edge, and it's not. I'm looking good, looking good. Keep that surface lubricated so that your squeegee glides. Got a little air bubble right there. There it goes. Just squirt it out. Looks good. All right, so now what I like to do is to come back again with my microfiber cloth. I've got some fingers down here on the wheel arch, and I've got a couple little ones up here at the top. So I'm going to put my squeegee down, and I'm going to come back in with my microfiber towel and take a look and see what I've got. Right, try to work this stuff out. I can always spray it down again if I need to. All right, so here I am at this corner where I've got the fingers, and I just work it with my fingers. Stretch it a little bit, push it a little bit. Stretch it a little bit, push it a little bit, and get that water all out of there. All right, there's actually more water in there than I'd like to have. So remember, until this dries, I'm good to go. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to actually peel this all back and respray this top half. The bottom half is looking pretty good, but I'm not real happy with how this top half looks. I'm going to be gentle with it. I'm just going to peel it back and respray this whole area. Remember not to let it stick to itself. Right. Spray the top. And because I've already established the right size and length, the advantage that this gives me is I don't have to push these air bubbles all the way up now. I can push them as I go through. Now the interesting thing here is that I am going from bottom to top, so as I push, the liquid is wanting to pool right there in that seam, but that's okay. Don't worry about that, it'll come out. Right? So I'm going bottom to top, and I can already tell you this is looking a lot better, right? All those air bubbles that were kind of caught in there are coming right out. Just go little by little, push them out nice and slow. Right, I'm going to end up with some little fingers here. Again, I'm checking for the alignment of the narrow piece. It's got to be just right. It's pretty good. Okay, still getting some fingers, but we'll come and dry those out. That's not a problem. All right, looks like I'm going to be much happier with that, so I'm going to switch back to the cloth again. And I don't know if you can see in the camera what a difference that made, but it's a huge difference from having the bubbles in there before, right? If you can work it out and keep all those air bubbles right on the edge of that crease as you drive the squeegee up, it's going to really decrease the amount of water bubbles you have to contend with after the fact. Really nice, really, really nice. All right, so from here I'm going to go and do the same thing over on the other front fender, and then we'll come back to the hood is what you'll see next. All right, so the next piece we're going to do is the biggest piece, which means there's got the most room for air. I'm using a little bit different solution this time. The other one is the alcohol and water solution. This one is actually a 50-50 solution of gel, alcohol-based gel hand cleaner, and water. This gives it a little bit more thickness and what they call float. It will let me slide this piece around the top because there's so much more surface area and friction. I want to have a little bit more thickness of liquid underneath it. I will then use the regular spray alcohol, water, and soap solution over the top for my squeegee, but underneath it I want this little bit thicker solution. I've got my son here helping me. You can see how wide it is. You need to hold this up after you peel it and keep it from touching anything until all of the surfaces are wetted down. Because once it sticks, it's not going to want to come off. All right, so here we go. So we're going to start peeling off from the front and peel it back. Right away, I'm going to start spraying it. See how big and awkward it is. And you're not going to let it touch itself. I'm going to keep it wet, keep peeling it up. All right, and then we get it up. We're going to keep it plenty wet. Don't let it touch. All right, and then I'm going to spray down the hood. All right, don't be afraid of having too much. There's no such thing as too much. All right, now I'm going to take both of my hands. We're going to try to just lay it on the hood and get it close. Make sure your hands are wet too. All right, dry hands stick and leave fingerprints in the adhesive. Right. As much as I've got in there, I still don't feel like I've got enough. So I'm going to spray some more because I really want this thing to float good. All right, both the car and the film. All right, now the critical part on this one is obviously the front edge. And I've got a cutout here, right, where there's kind of a dip in the hood that I'm going to get lined up really close. I do not want the edge of the film to hang below the edge of the hood. Again, that will collect dirt. I'm going to try to set it back about a 1/16 of an inch if I can. Okay. Then I look at the other edges, make sure that I'm close at least. Okay. I'm not too bad over there. All right, don't push down yet. I'm just getting it close. All right, we're pretty close. All right, so over on that side, I've probably got about a 1/4 inch, but I've got about the same on this side. So this, I think, will stretch as we go, because I think I've got about the same amount. So I'm going to take my squeegee and my straight alcohol water solution, and I'm going to lube the top. Right? And I'm going to start anchoring this from the center. Remember, we work from the center out, and it will stretch. But I want to get this reveal set just right. Right, I'm going to pull it straight down and go straight up. This establishes my nice center line here. We're going to go nice and slow. And the water just squeegees right out. All right, there's no hurry. This is really a pretty gradual curve. I'm checking this edge, still holding even. It's not that radical of a curve, so we don't have to worry about stretching it a whole lot. I got a little bit of a finger there. I'm going to come down and fix that. Keep checking it. All right, so my corner here is starting to slide down a little bit. So I'm going to come up here, pull this edge back, hit it with some more water because I want it to float and slide. Right, and I'm going to start to pull it back up just a little bit. All right, come here, TC. I want you to hold that right in there. Keep the tension on it. All right. Center out, center out. If you get a big air pocket in there and the film starts to fold over itself, stop. That's not a good thing. It means you're going too fast and the material is not really stretched to the dimensions it needs to be. Okay, so again, I'm short, a little short here, so I'm going to lift this up and actually put it under tension. Okay, while I anchor it down over here because I want to make sure this lip is not overhanging. That's all right there now. All right, I'm just going to keep working the edge. Center, out, center, down. Watching that edge. Watching that edge. All right, now I do have a body line here that I've got to watch for. I don't want to have that cause a crease on me. And I've got a really big air bubble right here. Right, so I want to work that out gently. And there it goes. It mostly collapsed there. I'm at risk of having too much film all in one place and getting that bunch up. So I got to really watch it and go slow. I don't want to force it. You can just see there's just big air pockets and water bubbles moving around now along this body line. And I want to make sure I get them all out of the left side of this body line before I start tacking down the right side. Otherwise, they're going to be trapped. I don't want to trap them in there. There's nowhere to go. All right, so I'm going to work them over the line, get all of those out. All right, if I need to, I can peel this up on this side of the line to give it somewhere to go. Which is actually what I'm going to do. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Hit me with some more spray, bud. And the top too. There we go. Okay. Just going to work that right over the body line. We're still working from the center out instead of up and down. I'm doing a little bit of left to right here so that I want to get it over that body line. Okay, so now I'm going to come up here. I'm still checking. All right, my reveals are okay. All right, I'm starting to get a little bit of a clump over here. So I'm going to pull this back up. I think I've been going top down too much and I'm starting to accumulate some material. So I'm going to work middle out here a little bit. Give me some more spray here, bud, right on top. All right, work this up and out. It's all about balancing the material, making it work for you in a balanced way. think I'm pretty happy with that. It's looking really good. Okay. And even though I've only got half of it down right now, I've got the driver's half down, I'm actually going to take my towel and wipe it, because what I don't want to do is get the whole thing down and find a big problem on one side. So I'm going to just kind of get the solution off the top here and look for any problems that I might see. I've got some fingers over here on the right a little bit. I'll come back and address those. Okay. But in terms of the rest of it, it's looking really nice. Really nice. And a little bit right there. Tiny little bubble right there. But I think that will probably work itself out. If you have tiny little bubbles, don't sweat it. Park it out in the sun for a day or two, and those will go away. All right, so now I'm going to try to work these little fingers out with my towel. It shouldn't be a problem. Remember, we get those fingers because the material is bunched up and or it's too wet on the edge, and the capillary action sucks that moisture back up under the film. Got it. Maybe a little dime-sized water bubble here that I'm working down with my towel. And there it goes, just squirted out, so that's great. Okay, and I'm just going to come and wipe all that solution off from that edge. I don't want it wicking back up inside there. And it's looking really good. All right, I'm going to do the other side now. Ooh, I do have a bubble right there. See, that is why I wiped it off. Wouldn't have seen that with the solution on there, but it is working down, so that's a good thing. Watch, it's about to squirt. There it goes. Got it. All right, here we go on the other side. Hit me with the spray all over. All right, and I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to stretch back out, hit me on the back, just in case we're drying out a little bit. All right. And we're going to work those body lines. Okay. Not bad. I think it turned out so good because we took our time, went nice and slow. All right. As long as you keep it wet, you have all the time in the world. You can always peel it back up if you need to and re-wet it. Every pass or two, you're going to check that body line. Make sure it's still right where you want it to be. Come up here and sop some of that up. And again, I'm right within about 1/16, an 1/8 to 1/16 of an inch from the edge, which is right where you want it. If you get it too close, you risk overshooting the mark here. I'm going to check my left body edge. And remember I told you we were short originally? I'm actually right on right now. So I'm just going to kind of work that line and make sure it doesn't overshoot. I got to kind of keep that in mind as I put this on. So I really didn't have to stretch this very much at all. Just the action of squeegeeing the water out naturally stretches it just a little bit. And I'm coming up to that left-hand body line like I did on the other side. That's another place I got to watch out because that water wants to collect there. And you can just see it pouring down as I squeegee it out. Okay, so I'm going to make sure it all makes it out of this side. All right, so now when I'm pushing, my squeegee is starting to stick, which means I need a little bit more spray. All right, you don't want to push your squeegee over it dry. So I'm just working that body line. I think I've got all the body line taken care of. All right, my front edge is starting to pull up a little bit here, so I'm just going to pull my back corner up a tad. All right. I want that line to be nice and straight. Pull that over. And I got a decent amount of tension on it now because I want to stretch the bottom, but not the top. I'm just trying to anchor that down. And it will pop back a little bit. All right. Now I'm just starting to, right here at the end, I'm just having to do a little more stretching. But again, I'm still working from the center to the edge. Center to the edge. Don't leave those air bubbles in there if you can help it. And you got a good sized one right there. Work it out. Work it out. All right, I'm getting fingers down here. That's okay. I'll come back and fix those. And that's my phone, which we don't need to answer right now. I'm just chasing a couple. There it goes. You don't know if you can see that squirt, but you kind of get those air bubbles worked out, and they just squirt right free. Right. Center out. That's the ticket. I think I sound like a broken record. Hey, if it's that important, they'll leave a voicemail. Right. Working up there, bubbles there. All right, and I think I'm done with the squeegee. Again, come back in with the microfiber towel and just wipe it down. Work out all those fingers. I got one there, it's squirting out. That one went good. Right, working the edge. Don't let the adhesive touch the microfiber towel. It will ruin the adhesive. So always go towards the edge, never pull back from the edge. All right, I got a couple little bubbles here. Let me spray it one more time. Just feeling in there. As long as it's moving, I don't want to pull it back up. There it goes. Now I've got it moving. And I'll pull it up if I have to, but I'd rather not. And if the bubble is really small, you can even come along, build up pressure in it, and just pop it with a pin. This 3M Clearbra Pro stuff will actually self-heal. So it will come back and actually seal up that pinhole all on its own. But I am getting it. It's tight, but it's moving. There it goes. There it goes. Just squirted it out. We're golden. All right. We're good there. The bumper's next. All right. The next piece that we did after the two fenders and the hood are done are the headlights and the fog lights. I already did the headlight. It's probably the easiest piece on the whole car. Same thing. You just spray it on, center out, center out. Next, I'm going to do the little fog light cover. Same thing, even on glass. It's the same thing. Just spray it, get it wet. Set it in place. The fog light cover is actually a little bit smaller than the opening, so that makes it nice and easy. Just center it up. Then I'm going to squeegee it out just like I did on everything else. Right. I'm going to run this actually at a little bit of a diagonal here. Use the small end because it's a very narrow slot, and they go very quickly. They're nice and straight and flat. Oh, see, you catch an edge there. Pulled it all up. Until that water's dried out, you can pull it right back up. So make sure it's adhered good. But be gentle. All right. That's good. And then I'm going to just take away the excess with my microfiber cloth again. Oh, just pulled it loose. Go in there and do it again. See, I put too much pressure on it before it had dried. Got to spray it down and do it over. This time I'm just going to blot it. All right, and then we're good. All right, the next piece is the one I'm actually the most worried about, and that's this lower bumper piece. It's very complex. It's a big C shape. It's going to come down, wrap around the bottom, and come back all the way across to the center line of this grill. It's a big piece, so I'm going to have my son help me with it again. I've already sprayed this down, right? Because when I get here, I want it to be ready. I'm going to hit it again. I want it to be plenty wet. And I'm just going to come over here and peel it off the sheet. And we're not to let it stick to itself. Careful on the thin parts. Don't let it tear. Spray it down. All right, I'm going to walk it over here. All right, I'm going to take the top. I've got it. I want you to take the bottom and make sure it does not touch the ground. Take the skinny piece, make sure it does not touch the ground, and don't let it get twisted up. I got the top. Don't let it stick to itself. And we're just going to get it generally laid out in place. Okay, just get it close. So the question is, how does this go? I have no idea. So for now, just lay it in here and just keep an eye on it. Make sure it doesn't fall. All right, so now I'm at least close. So this is the first piece that we've got to get here, which is the part that centers around the passenger side tow hook hole. And get that in the ballpark, hit it again. We're already starting to stick like crazy. I've got the garage set right at about 70 degrees. They recommend that it's relatively warm when you do this. It's only about 40 degrees outside here in Chicago. So really wasn't a good idea to do it outside. So again, I'm working the body lines, and this is actually looking pretty decent. Work from a center point out. The other interesting thing here about this front bumper is this car did have 30,000 miles when I got it. So the paint is not pristine. It already has some rock chips and things in it. So I did try to work on it and get the big ones out, but there are plenty of small little cinder or rock impacts left underneath here. And I was just curious how this Clearbra was going to settle over that, and at least so far here. I felt them before I went in, and I can still feel them through the Clearbra, but it does a pretty good job of kind of bringing the shine back into that area that was kind of sandblasted from the road grit. Right, so we're just going to kind of keep working this over, keeping an eye on those body lines. Don't want to get ahead of myself, otherwise I'm going to get too many air bubbles trapped in there. This is relatively complex here. I think I'm going to stretch this a bit. Pretty kind of long air bubble right on this body seam. The water keeps flowing back down into it. So I use the towel to push that out so I can absorb the water. Just try to get the little bubbles out. Watch those body lines. The narrower the area, the easier it is to screw it up too. So this area right here on the bottom of this tow hook is very narrow. It's only maybe a ½ inch wide. So I'm really trying to be careful there. This whole thing over a little bit. It's not quite right. And I've got a cutout from the tow hook hole that wasn't quite lined up right. Watching the body lines. Didn't like that. So here we go. We're essentially starting over, right? The more complex the curves, right? We've got compound curves and body lines all over the place on this grill. Try to use this hole as my anchor point and see how that works out. All right, that hole looks pretty good right there. Can I get everything else lined up is the question. It's tough stuff. It's looking decent. But I said that before too. Let's try to work this up from here. That seems like it's working out. Right, small baby steps, baby steps, baby steps. It's already getting dry. Don't let it touch the ground. You got to keep it wet so it'll keep moving for you. Watching the body lines, watching the body lines. Remember, middle to the outside, inside out. Inside out, but I got a body line here that's not wanting to cooperate. There we go. So I just peeled it back a little bit to free up those bubbles. All right, I'm starting to ride up a little bit high here, so I want to make sure it comes back down. All right, this is another area where I've got 3 different planes coming together right here on this spot, and it's wanting the film to pull away, and I can squeegee this all day to my heart's content, but the water keeps wanting to run down back in there, the solution. So I'm going to have to come in here with the towel so that as I push it, the towel absorbs the excess solution and it will stick. This is a technique that you use all the time when you're vertical and that water's just wanting to run back down inside there. All right, and then you just kind of try to roll it over, and I've got a couple fingers there, and I'll just keep working that as I go. All right, there's a little gap here underneath the headlight that's actually holding the water too, so make sure you get in there and absorb it out if you can. All right. That's good enough there for now. I'll come back and finish that up completely. After everything else looks okay, I don't want to go too crazy in case I have to pull it all back off again. More spritz. That body line there looks like it's going to be nice. Don't let those air bubbles build up too much. All right, bud, let's grab that. I don't want it to fall on the ground. Just got to bring it over a little bit. Tough stuff here. I'm going to have to put a little bit more tension on this. Multiple compound curves again. Multiple compound curves, is that even a thing? Is that double redundant or like a double negative? Multiple compound?
More than one compound.
It doesn't really make I don't think that's a thing. All right, I was a little bit worried about that, but it seems like it's okay. I've got this other plug right here in the panel that I can come through and cut that with a razor later if I want, or I can just leave it be. So we'll see. I'll probably let it dry and see how it looks, and if it looks good, I'll leave it. If not, I will cut it and reseat it when we're done. Oh, we're starting to come in looking pretty good here. Keeping some tension on that. Got a little bit of stretch going there now. Watching the body line. Moving it around. Alright. Now here is the other body line I've got to watch. I've got the opening to this lower grill that I want to keep lined up. I'm coming a little low there, so I'm going to pull this one high. Right, and I've got this line, so I want to try to keep as close as I can to both of those. Get a little lube over the top. Let's see what we can do here. See if I can work this in both directions. It does appear to hang low, but it wraps around the bottom, so that's okay. And I'm going to put a little bit of tension on this, and that seems to be helping it flow right into place. Yeah, body line looks pretty good. Right back to the wheel arch. And again, back here at the edge, I've got water leaking in, so I'm just going to push it out with my towel. So we don't get those fingers. All right. These two spots right here are not bubbles. Those are actually rock chips underneath the Clearbra at this point. So it's not going to be perfect. All right. Check that line again. All right, I'm just have to start tugging this a little low here. And I'm going to try to use my towel to wrap it around this curve. The bottom of this is kind of rough. It looks like they've, rubbed up against parking curbs and things like that. So not exactly sure how this is going to adhere down here over time, but we're going to give it a go nonetheless. All right. Get some lube down there. Try to run it out. Back over. All right, I think I'm going to have to do a little more stretching here, and I think I need some more lube in there too. Right in there. All right, that ended up lining up better than I thought. Didn't see that coming. Sometimes it's hard to see how the pre-cuts are going to help you. But there's some relief cuts in this unit that help the curve right where we needed it to go. All right, bud, just go ahead and lay it over there and I'll come over and take it from you. Go back and make sure we're still in frame on the camera. Over here in the middle. And this just wrapping around the bottom of the splitter here. Right. And the top edge is the one that you want to watch the line on. Kind of stretch it and pull it as you need to get it to line up. Kind of a little bit tough here, it seems like. It's wanting to slide down right here. So I actually may end up cutting this. It doesn't look like it's actually designed. It's designed to go on in one piece, but I'm not sure how I'm going to make that happen. We'll give it another go here. All right, can you come back down here, TC? All right. See the relief cut right there?
Yeah.
I want you to keep your finger, your thumb pressure right there to hold that up. It wants to slide down. All right, but you got to hold up. Not down here, right at the very tip top. All right, don't you think this is supposed to go underneath?
I would think so.
Just not clear to me how that's supposed to happen. I don't think it is. I think it wraps. I think it goes like this. That makes sense. All right, that makes sense. All right, that way you're getting coverage out of it for the top and the bottom at the same time. These are the things that they don't actually tell you in the instructions. In here, anchor that down. You don't let go yet. Come and get some of this trim. I get some of this water out of here. All right, go ahead and let go. This might be a place where a heat gun or a hairdryer would come in handy, just to help with this curve. I'm coming in here with the towel just to try to get that moisture out again. I'm getting some fingering. But it is coming along. I'm just going to kind of come down here a little bit lower so I can see better. Yeah, and it is pretty scratched up down here. Be careful to not tear it all off as you're going. If you don't get those fingers out, they will collect dirt and dust and cause problems for you down the road. That's looking pretty good. I think I'm going to let that segment dry up, and then after it tacks a little bit more, come back and hit it again, and it'll be good. So we'll come back. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side, and we'll come back. So here we are. We're back on the next day, Saturday morning. Most of the project was done last night on Saturday night, or Friday night rather, and I think we're done. So we're going to start with the great spots. I've got some extra light in here. I don't know if you can tell. All right. So right now the Clearbra edge stops right here at my hand, all the way across. I'm going to get in really tight. You can barely see that edge, which is what you want. I left the vapor lights on overnight, about 2 feet off the top of the hood, just to warm it up, simulating sunlight. Sunlight helps all those small bubbles and stuff settle out. But seeing how it's in the high 30s and kind of rainy here, that really wasn't going to be an option. So I'm probably going to keep it in the garage all weekend with the with the heat lamp on it, or with the halogen lights on it, just for warmth. So you can see really good. I've got a couple tiny little bubble spots left. I don't know if you can see them in the mirror or in the camera, but they're looking pretty good on the hood. Likewise with the fenders. They came out pretty well. Come over here, see the other side. I think the lighting's probably a little bit better. Right. Line is here. Right. You can see they don't exactly match up at the top. That could be an amateur installation problem. I'm not necessarily going to say that that's a problem with the film. But both sides look really quite good. The problems are, if you want to look at them as problems, is really in the bumper area. The bumper, like I said, I got this car with 30,000 miles, and it had a lot of rock chips in it already. I'm trying to use the Clearbra to make it more resilient, because black shows everything, obviously. It's just really hard to see them in there, but if you look, you'll see little white specks, and those are not installation problems. They're rock chips that are indented from the surface of the paint so that the paint protection film can't stick to it and it forms an air pocket. I think those are things that I'm just going to have to learn to live with over time. As you saw last night, these curves, right, down in these corners, there and here, were a real challenge, but those set up overnight really pretty well. The way they do the wrap from underneath the fog light area around and onto this lower splitter in one piece, I thought that was really an excellent design. Flowed right into place. It takes you some time sometimes to figure out how this all this stuff is supposed to go on, but once you do, it comes out great. All right. So once again, Servo PPF had their kit was just cut nuts on, right where you want it to be. I'm going to come around now to the other side. And the thing I did not show you on camera, because honestly they're pretty easy to do, are the door handle protectors. It's a butterfly style piece where it's wide at the top, tapers inside the door pull, and then flares back out at the bottom. I just finished, it was the last piece I put on this morning, and those went in great as well. So overall, really nice. All right, guys, so that's a wrap on this project. I may do a few more car videos thrown into the stream occasionally. Like I said, I'm pretty excited about the new Audi S5. Whatever kind of comes to mind. I'm not sure if I'm going to end up doing some updates to that as well. I'm considering doing a Stage 2 kit, perhaps some wheels. So we'll see how that goes. But stick around Touring America. So this is Saturday. It's a Saturday before I leave for the spring trip. The plan is to head down to Hill Country in Texas, and so the rest of my weekend, once I kind of clean up the mess that I made putting on the Clearbra, is going to be getting the bike ready to go. So stick around. 2017 was kind of a slow year for us here at the channel. 2018 is going to be a lot better. So until next time, make sure you stay on the road, go out, have your adventures, apparently whether by car or motorcycle now. So tune back in. Catch you later. Thanks.
Down the street.